if you're a Buffalo Bills fan, are you looking at another loss to Mahomes and another loss to the Chiefs saying to yourselves, hey, we're losing to the Michael Jordan of the NFL at the moment, and sooner or later we're going to get our chance. Sooner or later it's going to be our time. Or do you look at the other way and say, hey, Josh Allen's been one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL for the last 5-6 years. The Bills have won their division every single year since 2020, and there's not one Super Bowl appearance to their ledger. Now that the dust is settled, if you're a Buffalo, you're saying, hey, we're close, we're right there, we're going to get back? Or are you just feeling this feeling of like despair of when is this going to happen for us?
Probably, JJ, a little bit of both, to be honest with you. I'm a glass half full kind of guy anyway, and I'm in a glass half full mode because my own Washington football team, what they did for me and my overall spirit when it comes to looking at bright futures, I'm feeling very positive, but I think that the Bills were right there. I mean, that game came down to a couple of plays, and over the course of the season, it was a season where the Bills went to Kansas City for that game really because of a handful of plays, and everything ran Kansas City's way in terms of these one-score outcomes, these very unexpected victories at the end of the season. The Bills were not very far behind, and all the advanced analytics supported the idea of the Bills. It's why the line flipped. It's why the Bills opened, so close, and the way that matchup was lined by the books. So I would say from the Bills' perspective, especially coming into this season with the unknowns at the receiver position and also, some unknowns in terms of how that defense was going to play, they went, face to face, fist to fist. There was just a couple plays that went Kansas City's way, and some of that is because Kansas City was at home, in my humble opinion. So I would say, look, man, let's reload and just get right back at it. We're a good effing football team. Couple spots where we can improve in the offseason, and let's get it on, Dream.
I'm glass half empty, and I look at the Buffalo Bills, and I feel like they've been right there for the last 4 years. You go back to 3 years ago, they had that game won, and they don't squib kick it, and in 13 seconds, the Kansas City Chiefs, they tie it up. The following year, they get beat by the Cincinnati Bengals at home. The following year, they have home field advantage throughout the postseason. You got Kansas City on your own turf, and you still can't get it done. This year, you're up 1 point with the ball. You have a chance to take it into an 8-point lead or a 9-point lead in the fourth quarter if you decide to go for two. They get stuffed on 4th and 1. And you could blame the refs, but as I always say, when you're not the A side, you got to knock the champion out. That fails. Then your defense makes a key stop, and you're down 3 with the ball, and you still can't get it done. You can't get 20 yards. You can't get 30 yards. You can't even get it into field goal range. So when I'm looking at this team, it's pretty clear that Sean McDermott has to go, and Josh Allen has to finally become the guy that everybody says he is. And look, we've seen Tom Brady. We've seen Patrick Mahomes. If they were in that situation, there was no doubt in my mind that they would go down the field and either tie the game and score. And as good as Josh Allen is, he was very erratic the other day. He looked panicked. He had 7 turnover-worthy plays, and Buffalo was very fortunate to recover a lot of their own fumbles. So I'm glass half full until they replace the coaching staff and until Josh Allen makes that leap into the guy that everybody says he is. Because right now, it's pretty clear that he's below Patrick Mahomes.
Listen, Raheem, I can't fight you on that. And I would be glass half full house from a perspective of Buffalo's going to win the AFC East again next year. I don't care what Mike Vrabel and Drake may have in New England. They're not winning the division. Miami, wake me up when they beat Buffalo. The Jets, enough said. They're going to be back. They're going to win the division. But I think everything Raheem illustrated come playoff time, I said it when we were picking the AFC title game, Raheem. I said, listen, Buffalo's been knocking at the door. Buffalo has beaten them in the regular season. I don't care. Beat them when it counts, and they had a chance. They were up 1. They didn't get a 4th down. They didn't execute a touch push. Then they hold to a field goal. You got to go and either tie the game or take the lead. I don't want to hear about Dalton Kincaid and a heave on 4th down. Don't put yourself in a 4th and 5 where Steve Spagnuolo, one of the great defensive coordinators of his generation, can go and dial up a blitz like he did last year in the Super Bowl to Brock Purdy. And Raheem, I love the way you phrased it. Allen, at this point in time, he's an amazing talent. He's an amazing player. The pecking order in the AFC and in football, for that matter, with these quarterbacks, Mahomes, I don't care what he does in these regular seasons, he's in his own category. And then it's the other guys. And, when you look at the other guys, Burrow's beating them. He's got that over the other two. Lamar does not have that. Josh Allen does not have that. Now, Josh Allen may have an MVP at the end of the year. Lamar may have a third MVP at the end of the year. Out of those three, I know it's way too early to start thinking about, hey, who's going to knock off the Chiefs next year? But guess what? We're going to be here again. Someone's going to have to knock off the Chiefs. Out of those three, you know what's crazy, Raheem? The Ravens have the best team. Allen has been probably the most consistent in the last 5 years. Burrow's done it. Like, that's the thing. The Bengals fixed their defense. I know Joe Burrow has beaten Patrick Mahomes. I'd be the most confident in him. Am I insane for saying that?
You're not insane, but I would also add CJ Stroud into that mix because I think it's going to be a younger team. Because right now, I don't totally trust Lamar Jackson, even though I think the Ravens have the best team. And I totally don't trust Josh Allen because I still believe that he's turnover prone. And he cut down on the turnovers this year. But for the most part, we see the erratic play show up in key moments. I think it's either going to be Joe Burrow or it's going to be a younger quarterback, a CJ Stroud. Maybe even a Drake May if the Patriots can put something together. I mean, we saw to watch the Commanders. They turned things around in one season. So if you got Mike Vrabel in there, who knows what could happen. So
but let's be fair on this, though. A lot easier doing that house in the NFC than it's going to be in the AFC.
I agree with that. I would have Buffalo right back there. I think that we're going to get this rematch. What is it going to be? The 4th time, the 5th time? I think they will run into each other, and every situation has its own little bit of differences. Which team has the home field advantage? What's going on in terms of injury situation, injury luck, who's showing up? I mean, that is one of the underrated storylines going into this Super Bowl. The Chiefs have had incredible good fortune in terms of their injury luck. They have arrived in these playoffs healthy and have remained mostly healthy. I mean, obviously the Rashee Rice thing was a big deal at the beginning of the season, but that led to the revelation of Xavier Worthy. And who knows come this time a year from now where some of those things land. So I think Buffalo is built for it. At the end of the day, I subscribe to Dream's point of view that the single dimension that's holding back Buffalo is their head coach. I really do think that's on the money. And you're just never going to be in a situation where you have enough talent to overcome Sean McDermott versus Andy Reid. That's the way it feels for Buffalo. So if you wanted to be glass half empty about the situation, you would say Buffalo, I can't get over that hump because of Sean McDermott, just the way that Dream laid it out.
And Buffalo's had chances over the last couple of years to say sayonara. That Cincinnati playoff game, they didn't do it. Last year, it looked like he was going to be out in December, and then they rallied back and won the division. That kind of ruled them out. And I'm with you. I would make a coaching change in Buffalo. I am not a Sean McDermott guy. The Bills look at it and they say, hold on, before we got here, we did nothing but lose. We've won the division however many years in a row. They look at it differently than I look at it. But, hey, they own the team. That's their perspective. I think all three of us would say, hey, we have serious doubts about Sean McDermott going and winning a Super Bowl. But Buffalo, I don't think is making a coaching change unless something crazy happens over the next few weeks.